All right, let's dive into something that's, well, it's a pretty unsettling part of human psychology. We're talking about the bystander effect. It's all about that really tough question. Why do good people, people just like you and me, sometimes just stand by and do nothing, even when they know they should be helping?
You know, we're always told there's safety in numbers. And it makes sense, right? If something bad happens, you'd want a huge crowd around. More people means more help. But what if that's completely backward? What if at a real emergency, being surrounded by people is actually the worst thing that could happen?
To really get our heads around this, we need to look at a story. A true story that absolutely horrified the entire country and basically forced a whole field of psychology to re-examine everything. I'm talking about the case of Kitty Genovese.
So picture this. It's March 13th, 1964. It's early, like 3:20 in the morning, and Kitty Genovese is attacked on her way home. She screams for help and people hear her. Her neighbors hear her. But this wasn't quick. The attack went on and on for over 30 minutes. And yet nobody called the police until 3:50 a.m., a full half hour later. And by that point, it was just too late.
The story exploded. News reports claimed that dozens of witnesses either saw or heard what was happening, and not a single person intervened. People were just stunned, horrified, and everyone was asking the same terrifying questions. Are we becoming monsters? Is this what big cities do to us? Do we just not care about each other anymore?
But a couple of social psychologists, they weren't so sure. They had a hunch it wasn't that people were cold and uncaring. They thought something else was going on, something way more subtle, and honestly way more powerful. And their investigation led them to put a name to this strange, chilling phenomenon: the bystander effect.
Okay, so what is the bystander effect exactly? Well, the definition itself is pretty straightforward, but the implications are huge. Basically, it's this weird psychological quirk where the more people who are around to witness an emergency, the less likely it is that any one of them will actually step in and help.
And that is the core, mind-bending paradox of the whole thing. The two researchers who figured this out, Latane and Darley, said it best. The one thing we all think makes us safer, a big crowd, is the very thing that can stop any single person from doing the right thing.
So why? Why does this happen? The important thing to remember here is that it's not because people are fundamentally bad or selfish. It's because our brains have to jump through these three really specific mental hoops before we can take action. Let's break down what those hurdles are. Okay, so the three big ones are pluralistic ignorance, diffusion of responsibility, and evaluation apprehension. Now, I know, those sound like they're straight out of a textbook, but trust me, these are things we all experience probably more often than we realize.
So let's put these into plain English. Pluralistic ignorance. That's basically social proof gone wrong. It's when you look around at everyone else to figure out what to do. You see something weird, but nobody else is freaking out, so your brain goes, well, if they're not worried, I guess it's not a real emergency. Then you've got diffusion of responsibility. This one's classic. It's the "I'm sure someone else will do it" thought. When you're in a crowd, that feeling of "I have to do something" gets spread out so thin that nobody feels like it's their job. And that third one, evaluation apprehension. This is a big one. This is just the plain old fear of looking stupid. It's that little voice screaming in your head, what if you're wrong? What if you make a big scene and it's nothing? You're going to look like a complete idiot. And that fear of being embarrassed, man, it can be absolutely paralyzing.
Now, these researchers didn't just sit around and guess about this stuff. Oh no, they ran experiments, and in those experiments, they came up with a number that is it's really staggering: 85%.
So what is that 85%? That's how many people ran for help when they believed they were the only one who knew someone was in trouble, the only witness. When all that responsibility lands squarely on your shoulders, and only your shoulders, well, we step up.
But here's where it gets really chilling. Take a look at this. When they ran the same experiment, but the person thought there were other people who could help, the number of people who went for help dropped. It just plummeted from 85% all the way down to 31%. 31! Just knowing other people were around literally drained that sense of personal duty right out of most of them.
Okay, I know this all sounds incredibly depressing, but here's the really good news. This isn't some fundamental flaw in our character. Think of it more like a glitch in our social programming. And the best part about a glitch is once you know it exists, you can learn how to work around it. You can actually break the spell. And you know what the single most powerful weapon against this is? It's awareness. Seriously. The fact that you're watching this right now, that you're learning what the bystander effect is, you are already building a defense against it. Just knowing about it is the first and most important step to beating it. So if you ever find yourself in that situation, here's the simple playbook. Step 1, just notice. Pay attention. Step 2, decide for yourself if it's an emergency. Don't look at what others are doing. That's how you fight that pluralistic ignorance. Step 3, make it your problem. Tell yourself, if I don't do something, no one will. That crushes the diffusion of responsibility. Then figure out what to do, call 911, give first aid, whatever it is. And then, step 5, do it, act.
All right, but let's flip this round for a second, because this is absolutely critical. It's one thing to know how to be a good helper, but what if you're the one who needs help? What do you do when you're in trouble, surrounded by a crowd of people who are all just frozen?
Whatever you do, don't just yell, "Somebody help me." That's an open invitation for everyone to think someone else will do it. You have to short-circuit the whole system. You pick one person, one. Lock eyes with them, point right at them, and give them a direct, simple command. You, in the red jacket, call 911 for me, right now. In that single moment, you've destroyed the bystander effect for that person. They're not a bystander anymore. You've just made them a helper.
Look, if there's one thing to take away from all of this, is that this isn't about people being bad. This isn't a story about moral failure. It's a story about a weird, automatic, and deeply human glitch in our social psychology. And it's a glitch that can get tripped up in any one of us.
But knowing about this glitch, it doesn't let us off the hook. It does the opposite. It empowers us. It hands us the tools to fight back against our own worst instincts when the stakes are highest. So this isn't just some interesting psychological theory. It's a challenge, to me and to you. Now that you know how the spell works, what are you going to do to be the one who breaks it?